What is going down, squad? We have another State of the Franchise episode coming to you with the Jason Aponte, and I am Brad Graham of the SF Niners. Hopefully, you guys are doing well. Jason, how are you doing today?
I'm good, Brad. Brad, I wanted to commend you. I didn't get a chance to say it off of camera, but I'm super proud of you, man. That Mike McGlinchey interview was incredible, man. You continue to do great work. You're as good as you are as a content creator. You're a better human, and you deserve all of this because you do everything the right way, and you don't tear people down. You're very nice to everybody, so you deserve all this, man. I'm super proud of you, man. Super proud to see your progress, bro.
Thank you, brother. I really do appreciate that. It was a great conversation with Mike McGlinchey yesterday. We had a lot of fun. Stick around a little bit. I might let you know I'm gonna have two more players on the channel this week. So stick around. I'll tell you who those guys are going to be towards the end. So we're gonna have more players on the channel this week. But first, Jason, we had a little bit of some news drop. I think we've all kind of been aware that Jimmy Garoppolo has been shopped or open to discussing a trade with teams for the better part of 4, 5, 6 months. But Adam Schefter today officially put it out there as an official report. Jimmy Garoppolo has been granted permission by the San Francisco 49ers to seek a trade, and furthermore said Jimmy Garoppolo has been cleared to practice. What was your initial reaction to that report when you saw it?
My initial reaction to that report was, well, didn't Rappaport yesterday just say mid-August? And now he's cleared today. Now, why would they do that? What's going on in Santa Clara, Brad? Why would they do that?
I don't know.
All
Seems
right.
par for the course, doesn't it?
All
Seems
right.
like there's two sides to every story, right?
It's interesting, but here's tinfoil hat theory. Ian Rappaport is playing the. Yep, there it is. Ian Rappaport is playing the Don Yee Jimmy Garoppolo side. Adam Schefter is playing the 49ers side. Don Yee and Jimmy Garoppolo are trying to get a release. What the 49ers want is a trade. So this report comes out today and basically says, he's fine. Come get him now, right now. Like, he's fine. He's good. He can throw. He's cleared today. He's cleared today. The mid-August one is to scare the 49ers into saying, damn, mid-August, we can't keep you around. We don't have anybody for you right now. You know what? After you clear your physical, we're just going to cut you. Seems like there's games being played on both sides. But at this point, it's not really telling us anything that we didn't already know. It's just, it feels like this report right here. One, also, two, if you read the article that Schefter put out, will proceed with caution. So he will not be at training camp either. For that reason, you want to make sure that he's healthy, ready to go. But two, it felt like the 49ers are like, all right, like, let's push this into gear now. Now we're telling everybody that you can go ahead and negotiate and look. So that's really what it is, in my opinion.
Yeah, I thought David Lombardi actually was kind of pointing it out. He's like, this feels like a war of sources. You had Ian Rappaport come out who feels like, just like you explained, there's like two sides. Obviously, just like all this plays out, there's team sides and there are player sides. It's one of the things that I've become abundantly clear of while running my particular channels and things like that. I get a lot of information from player side. Obviously, the team side goes through their normal channels, but player sides, whether it's player representatives, family members, friends, they share information, and so you can get information from both sides. So that's kind of what it feels like between the Rappaport information, the Schefter information. Feels like a little bit of double dipping between 49ers and Jimmy Garoppolo's representatives. They both, I think, want the same thing. They both want a change of scenery, but how that change of scenery occurs is kind of where it feels like they're playing tug of war in a sense, right? Because the 49ers want to get a return, but that limits where Jimmy's going. It potentially could limit the contract structure if the new team chooses to negotiate or renegotiate his contract, effectively almost ripping it up, or they straight up release him and then Jimmy is able to land in his best spot for him to have his best chance to succeed. That's kind of what it feels like, right? It just feels like it's this tug of war at this point.
For sure. And I think the end game on both sides is a change of scenery. And for all the things that we talk about the 49ers wanting to move on from Jimmy, we forget the human element. Jimmy doesn't want to be here either. That's something else. Like that, I think that it's not that he's like, I'm so sick of this place. Is he understands the situation. Last year, when you heard him speak about what he went through, especially after the NFC Championship game, he said, I wouldn't have wished this situation on anyone, on my worst enemy.
He did
And
say that.
that kind of goes into the mindset of what he had to deal with all year. And I don't think he wants to deal with that again, especially when it's all signs are pointing to Trey Lance taking all the snaps. So that's it. Like, he wants to leave. The 49ers want to make a move as well. It's the best thing for both sides at this point. And the human element is Jimmy Garoppolo wants to go somewhere else so he can continue his career. And that's really where it's at this point. We all are wrapped up in, well, we want to see Trey Lance. We want to see Trey Lance. I'm just trying to get in the mind of Jimmy Garoppolo. And sure, spare me well, he's a millionaire. He doesn't care. Still, like, it can't be easy to be pushed out the door with this amount of success, things like that. And now, and his camp knows, where the hell is he going to go play quarterback now at this point? The Browns aren't in the mix at all, because this Deshaun Watson suspension is going to be, it looks like 8 games. It's what everybody's been talking about. It seems like the worst kept secret. So the Browns are fine with just running with Jacoby Brissett. Why would you bring in Garoppolo for whatever it is, 8 games? If you're going to turn it over to Deshaun Watson and take his money, even if you restructure it, sounds dumb because you're paying Baker Mayfield. So Jimmy Garoppolo knows that his places are limited at this point. And, I see the Giants in there. That's a potential place. But again, I have questions about why the Giants would do that. Here's my question to the Giants. You brought in Brian Daboll to figure out what is going on with Daniel Jones, if you can resurrect Daniel Jones, and you didn't pick up his 5th-year option because you want to see a 1-year thing. Jimmy Garoppolo going to the Giants doesn't make the Giants a football team that's going to make the playoffs. So you're going to waste a year of trying to see what the coach can do with him because of what? Because you want to win an extra game or 2? Like, again, he's better than Daniel Jones, but do you wreck your plans for Jimmy Garoppolo? No, you wreck your plans for Aaron Rodgers. You wreck your plans for Patrick Mahomes. You wreck your plans for upper echelon quarterbacks. One extra win, and then he's not on the hook for the contract next year, so you're right back at the drawing board with the Giants. Brian Daboll was brought there because they think that he can bring out whatever it is that was brought out in Josh Allen, which I think is a little bit overstated because Josh Allen worked his ass off, and Brian Daboll tends to get a lot of the credit. But I just don't understand why the Giants would do that. I really don't understand why they would do that. Now, do I want them to do that? Sure, because they'll give us something. And I think the 49ers are off the whole, we want a 2nd round, 3rd round. I think at this point, if they're going to trade them, they'll take whatever it is that they can get at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'll be the counter to kind of the argument that you placed, and just, for sake of conversation, the reason why I could see the New York Giants potentially throwing their hat into the ring is because it does feel like they've made their decision on Daniel Jones. They don't believe Daniel Jones is going to win them or take them over the hump. Clearly not picking up his 5th-year option. At least if they picked up the option, it would give a semblance of, like, we're going to give him one more opportunity, obviously past this season with his new coach. The new coach is not tied to Daniel Jones. The new ownership or the new front office is not tied to Daniel Jones. So they might already know. Like, we don't see a future with Daniel Jones. So the potential counter could be, is you look at the division that the New York Giants are in. You have the Cowboys, you have the Eagles, and you have Washington. Washington got Carson Wentz. Eagles is getting Jalen Hurts into year 2, right?
AJ Brown.
And they added AJ Brown, and then of course you got Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, all those guys. So right now it feels like the Cowboys are kind of leading that division. The Eagles will be chomping at the bit, and Washington is Washington. So we'll see how that plays out. That leaves the New York Giants, the lame duck, in the biggest media market in the world with the New York Jets sharing a stadium with them. My only thing could be is maybe those extra couple wins that Jimmy Garoppolo could provide could buy a little bit of leash further for Dabble. Maybe a little bit more, hey, look, we're on the right path. We got him for 1 year for a rental. Maybe we just show that, like, because clearly maybe they're like, we don't believe in Daniel Jones. We need an adult in the room, and maybe that's Jimmy Garoppolo. So that's my only counter to that. Do they go and get him? Because what's the price? What's that? I don't know.
Right. And to that point, there's a comment in here: bringing Jimmy in would appease the Giant fan base. Oh yeah, it would. One thing that I know, because I live 5 minutes from MetLife. Like, I look out my window and I could just take my car and I'm right there at MetLife. I know a lot of Giants fans. A lot of Giants fans are Italian. They would love,
Hey,
they would love the kid
the
to be in there.
Italiano, eh?
But here's the thing, and Jets game brings up a really good point. They don't have cap space, but anybody that would be trading for Jimmy Garoppolo, whoever that is going to restructure his deal to take the cap hit all the way down this year, but you have to add on another year. That's what the Giants would necessarily have to do right there. And that would mean you putting yourself out of the race to get CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, a lot of good quarterbacks coming out in this draft. But yeah, and that's funny too, Gav. I've been trolling all the Giants fans, and I've been saying, "Hey, Jimmy's on the way. Jimmy's on the way," and they're like, "No, man, no, we don't want to do that." But the way that they would get this done, if they do, is you break down the cap hit for this year. The cap goes up the next year, but you have to add Jimmy for another year, and that's how you spread the cap hit out. So it is possible. It's not like, well, they don't have the cap space now, they can't do it. They can do it. They want to. Cap can be manipulated. I mean, the Chiefs, the Rams, they show you every single day that it's possible. So yeah, it's possible. But again, I just think that they're not tied to Daniel Jones. You're absolutely right. No fifth-year option. But I do think that they want to see what Dabble can do with him. And I think that would be a wiser course of action, in my opinion, because of all of the comparisons. Well, Daniel Jones can be like Josh Allen. I don't agree with that, but people say that. And then, you know what? If it doesn't work this year, you get a high pick and you can completely move on because you didn't give up his fifth-year option. So that's where it is. It can happen. I don't see it happening. It is a good argument. And for Hawk Hater, yes, I'll be at camp with this lovely gentleman right here. Here. Yep.
So we're still in the same spot ultimately.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if this report really changed anything other
It's
than
Groundhog's Day.
definitively saying something. We've all kind of just assumed this. Everything has been alluding to this. Just again becomes a wait and see situation. I think the timing is the biggest thing here, right? With training camp literally a week away, they want to get him onto a roster potentially by the start of training camp, so he can acclimate, learn the playbook, learn his teammates, do those types of things. Because the initial report from Rappaport, right, was mid-August. And by that point, you're getting real close to preseason games and all that kind of stuff. So how quickly will he? It's not like he can't. We've seen Jimmy Garoppolo come into the San Francisco 49ers after being on the roster for 2 weeks and then win 5 games in a row. So it's not impossible, but you definitely want to give as much time as possible to get acclimated to a new roster. So for you,
crazy. I'm sorry, Crazy Juice is right. He's absolutely right.
He says only the Italian Giants fans want Jimmy G as the rest of the Giants.
100% he's right. But take a look at who's season ticket holders and who are the people that are usually sitting in those seats. It's those hardworking blue-collar Italian guys they like the Yankees, they like the Giants, they like the Rangers, all the same guy, bro. Like, they're all the same people. So those guys will be appeased.
Yeah, so that we spoke about the Giants. Is there literally anything else? Like, do you think anyone is coming to, like, truthfully knock down the 49ers door? Hey, we'll give you a 5th round pick. We'll give you, I don't know what they would give at this point. Just doesn't feel like there's a market. So it feels like at this point, everyone's like, we would take Jimmy, but we don't need Jimmy. That's what it feels like, right? It kind of,
Right.
so what does that translate into compensation? I have no idea.
I mean, I think it would have to be something what you're saying, like around a fifth round or something like that. It's already played its course. There's not many places that it can go. It would have to be a place that would be looking to acquire the best backup quarterback in football, the best backup
Yep.
quarterback in football, which would be Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, let's say the New Orleans Saints say, you know what, Andy Dalton, you're out of here. We're going to restructure for Jimmy Garoppolo this year, and we'll figure out a way just in case Jameis doesn't work out, things like that. It's tough to see anybody at this point. But again, this report today, it didn't tell anybody anything new. It just felt like the 49ers leaked that to Adam Schefter to kind of bring teams in, like, please take him. Please, he's ready to go. We can, he's cleared. He's clear. He can throw. He's clear. It's clear. It's clear. Like, so, yeah, it's just, I don't know, man. Jimmy ain't going nowhere. Jimmy's gone, man. Like, just, guys, it's over. It's over. Like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Don't do the mental gymnastics thing. Don't try to be on the other side just because you're on the other side. It's over. This is done. And he's going to be excused from training camp. Trey Lance is getting all of the quarterback one reps. It's over.
That feels like the clarity that came from this. Like,
yes.
I think we've all, like, because again, it's whether they've been informed or not informed, and it's just an opinion or not. You do have national media talking about, well, maybe Jimmy Garoppolo's quarterback one for the 49ers this year. He's still on the roster. This just feels like more of a clerical type report. Like, the trade, he's getting traded. Like, he's not coming back. We're not open to having him return because I think that would be a part of the report. Like, Jimmy Garoppolo is open to talking with other teams about a potential trade, but the door is open for Jimmy to return if something, it just feels like the course has been set and we're just plowing forward, and it's who's going to pick up the slack on the other side of it is pretty much all we're waiting for, right? It's just where we're at. It's the same waiting game. But the only thing that I would say feels really that got any clarity is that, the 49ers are moving with Trey Lance. You've heard it from the players. They keep saying the same things. The reports indicate that time is over with Jimmy. He's not going to be at camp. It's Trey Lance season, right? So Trey Lance, quarterback one, as we move forward. Does that seem like a fair, reasonable take?
For sure. And I think the Rappaport about mid-August, and then you hear Schefter saying they're going to be cautious, it's just nice ways of saying we're excusing Jimmy from training camp. That's it. Like, that's just it, man. It's done. Like, whether you think it's going to work out or not, you're going to have to, huff on some copium because it's happening. Like, it's done. And this is what they invested. Imagine telling your fan base, we invested all of these picks in Trey Lance, but we need him to sit 2 years. This isn't that old school mentality way of playing quarterback anymore. That was the way that you develop quarterbacks in the 90s. You got to sit. Got to see how it's done and hold the clipboard. No, it's done. It's done. Like, it's moving on, and this is it. And why would Jimmy Garoppolo want to be here is always going to be my point. So, like, look, again, Jimmy Garoppolo deserves to go somewhere and continue his career because he is not a bad quarterback at all. And no one will ever say that. He's not a bad quarterback at all. He's a starting quarterback in this league. There's only 32 of them. He is among them. Give me a different week and I'll tell you where he stands. But he's a starter, man. And he can lead your team to the playoffs and win you some games here and there. He is not a bad quarterback by any stretch. I still say he's better than Baker Mayfield. I say he's better than Ryan Tannehill. He's better than a lot of guys, man, in my opinion. But that doesn't mean that the front officers are willing to break their plans for that. So, look, it is what it is, man. Jimmy's just stuck in a spot. The surgery kind of held things up. If he would have been good to go with no injury, he probably would have been the first quarterback off the board. And you would have probably seen a team like Pittsburgh jump up and not sign Mitchell Trubisky. And the way everything kind of fell was just weird. Jimmy doesn't deserve to just be sent to Siberia. Like, that's like, I know that we joke about things like that, but Jimmy's much better than people say he is. He's also not as great as people say he is. Again, we're going to get into this conversation. He's somewhere in the middle, and there needs to be context, but I don't want to, continue.
He's just a polarizing topic. That's really what it comes down to. People are just going to, it's more, I feel like the evaluation is emotionally based. I don't feel like it's based. I don't feel like it's based on football anymore. It's just, it's gone off the rail, so we don't need to go down that road. People are asking me, Jason, about the inside scoop of who the 49ers have signed.
Are you dropping it?
No, I'm not dropping it. I'm just
Damn it.
letting the people I'm just letting the people know. I still have not yet got the confirmation I'm looking for. I've got enough information to feel confident about it, which is why I put it out. But still waiting on the confirmation of who actually it will be from said person. But what I can give you is tomorrow on my channel, I will be having Daniel Brunskill. So Daniel
Woo!
Brunskill will be joining me. We had a little report come out from Mayoko, I think, earlier today, talking about how, like, well, don't sleep on Brunskill potentially playing center. He kind of floated that out there as a potential roster movement in regards to how the 49ers feel about the center position. I've talked about it quite a bit, how I think, Brunskill would be a great caliber center, especially with Trey Lance. So who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? But we're going to have Brunskill. Daddy B will be joining us tomorrow. And then on Friday, I will also be having Samson Ebukam will be
Let's
joining us.
go.
So we got two players coming to us. Brunskill tomorrow, Samson Ebukam on Friday. So very excited about that and get to talk to the boys more about football. With that being said, though, what are some of the position groups that you are really looking at for training camp to be able to focus on? Some maybe sleepers hanging around that you really like as we get ready to transition towards training camp only being a week away. And you're going to be here pretty soon.
Yeah, it is, man. And that's next week. You and I will be at camp 6 days. I'll be in Santa Clara. Can't wait. It's now I'm gonna start with one that I feel like nobody is really talking about, and that's who is going to start constantly across from Nick Bosa. And it was brought up yesterday on my channel by Fern. It was great. Fern, a Fourth and Goal podcast. I think that that's a really good question. The thing that I say right now is it's probably going to be a bunch of guys at this point. Ebukam, certain downs, Torre, Dre
Many of
Jackson,
you.
Amenahue, those guys, they're going to rotate in the beginning. Having a constant would be great, but this defense, when it got so hot down the stretch with its pass rush, was because of the bodies they had coming in and out. But I think it's important to have somebody on the other side who not only can complement Nick Bosa, but keep Arik Armstead inside. That's when Arik Armstead really flourished down the stretch, when he was able to stick and inside. There are no guards in this league that can really stick with Arik Armstead. And if he can constantly stay there and not have to move around like a chess piece, you'll really start to see that Arik Armstead that you saw down the stretch, and he'll continue that this season. So for my money, I want to see that. And that was something, because everybody's going to say offensive line, strong safety, nickel corner. Those are the ones that jump out at you right away. But I want to see who they've got right away in base packages, base downs. Who's going to be out there? Is it going to be Ebukam, who came on at the end of the season? Is it going to be a little bit of all three of them? I think that's an interesting one to keep your eyes on.
Absolutely, because I kind of agree with you too in the sense it's going to be a lot of different guys. Like there's going to be a rotation. I think that the down depends on like who potentially is going to be out there. Um, it's going to be really interesting to see. We think we're really hoping for a healthy Javon Kinlaw all 17 games. So like, what is him being back? What does that rotation look like? Did he take those steps forwards as an interior pass rusher? So, like, if he did, then maybe you're not seeing like these Omena Hughes and Tereys kick inside over the guard, potentially like we saw from Arden Key. Got a lot of success that way. So I agree. I think that's going to be something to look out for. I think Drake Jackson um, will be in the rotation, but I've been pretty, I think, vocal about how I still think he's got a ways to go. I think
He's passing downs only.
yeah, he's an immense raw talent. Like when you look at the intangibles, the traits, those types of things, I think where he can continue to develop is as, a technician, right? When we talk about the game within the game, setting offensive linemen up, I think that's where he will continue to grow. And of course, he's in the perfect spot, and he doesn't have to do it this year. He can let guys like Sampson, Omenahue, Teray, Givens, the list goes on and on of all the guys that they have that they can rotate in there. So I think he'll get run. But I think, it's not going to be like a 60% snap share. I don't think. I think it will be on the lower end of maybe like 35-40%.
Mhm.
As a rookie with all the veterans that he has in front of him, just kind of trickle in as you may see it. So we'll see. In regards to some other positions, do you have any thoughts on the offensive line? Do you think it's going to be Brendel and Banks, or do you think there could be a situation where they do kick Brunskill down to center, and then maybe you have a Jalen Moore take over at right guard, or maybe a Colton McKivitz, or how do you kind of see that playing out?
I'm going to take the easy way out and just go with the leaders in the clubhouse. When you look at the way that the first team was running in OTAs, it was Brendel, it was Banks. I think you keep Brunskill at right guard because another year of continuity. And then obviously McGlinchey and Williams would be the bookends. But you know better than I would, Brad, at how much continuity to the person with the person to the right or the left of you is important in terms of communication, picking up stunts, and Brendel, Brunskill and McGlinchey are so good at understanding those things, man. And I went through the raw numbers with Mike McGlinchey because the noise has gotten a little too loud around Mike McGlinchey. Well, anyone can step in for McGlinchey. Yeah, anyone. Well, I broke down the numbers, and Tom Compton was considerably worse. Like, we didn't know that. But my
Can't
question to
remember they
everybody
tried to
is
put Jalen Moore over there, and they
right,
had to move him out quick.
right. And my question is this: if you say that anyone can fill in, and this team just went to the NFC Championship with Tom Compton playing many, many snaps, well, Mike McGlinchey just has to be better than Tom Compton. And I think we can all agree Mike McGlinchey's better than Tom Compton. So again, it's getting a little out of hand, like this discussion. Well, anyone can be their right tackle. That's not true. You guys are tripping when it comes to that. And again, everybody always wants to blow up. Well, he blew this one block at the end. Well, show the 10 good blocks that he had throughout the game as well, too. Like, again, you can do that with any player. You can do that with the quarterback. You can do that with running backs who miss blocks. You can do that with linebackers who miss tackles. You can do that with cornerbacks who get burnt. It's so easy to nitpick. There's no nuance as how the things are happening and stuff like that. So again, all that stuff with McGlinchey is overblown. If you're telling me that you can get to the NFC Championship with Tom Compton, then you can certainly make a run and be fine with Mike McGlinchey because we all agree he's better than Compton. Okay. Now Brunskill, I want him to stay there. I want another year of that. Brendel seems like he's the leader in the clubhouse because Kyle Shanahan praised him. And we all know that Kyle Shanahan praises no one. And when he does praise you, you got to really mean that. So he means that about Brendel. Banks is moving to his natural position. And oh, by the way, to his left is Trent Williams. So it's a lot of question marks because people just haven't seen it, but it's not nearly as dire as people are making it seem. You have a lot of options behind them. But Aaron Banks, I felt, was always suited to play left guard and play with Trey Lance. And this run game is going to turn a little bit more to inside zone than it ever has. That's another thing that I think is important. That's the new wrinkle that Anthony Lynn's going to bring in. That's the new wrinkle that Trey Lance is going to bring in as well, too, because Mike McDaniel's not here. So it all lines up for, and this is just me being positive 7 days before camp, but all this stuff lines up where it's not nearly as dire. You have questions, but it's not like oh my goodness, this team is in trouble. You're not starting 5 Tom Comptons. Let's chill out. Like, and I hate to keep pounding on him, man. Look, Tom Compton was on the fringe of leaving this league. Kyle Shanahan got him another contract somehow. That could, if he can do that for Tom Compton, he should be fine doing that for everyone else and putting them in positions to win. So I think that yes, you can have your concerns. That's valid. But when you bring back the continuity of Brunskill, you know what McGlinchey is, and we're gonna find out. You know, even though yesterday he was effusive with saying, "Yeah, I'm 100%." You know, you have 3 constants: Williams, Brunskill, and McGlinchey. Now we got to find out
Right.
about Brendel and Banks, but they seem to be very high on Brendel, and Banks is sliding into his natural position. So yeah, you can have concerns, but chill out on the panic button, man. That's it.
Yeah, I'm not as I agree with you. I think there's a lot of reasons to be optimistic about the offensive line. Obviously, they got to go out there and prove it and show it to us and all that type of stuff. So I don't think it's going to be as much of a concern. I've said it for a long time. Like I'm quietly optimistic. I'll insert concern into the conversation when we actually are out at training camp and we're seeing guys get blown off the ball or just missed assignments and things like that. But yeah, I feel like you could keep the status quo as is, right? Trent Williams, Aaron Banks, Brendel, uh, Brunskill, McGlinchey, and it feels like everything will be good to go, especially with, by all accounts, from what McGlinchey told me yesterday, sounds like he's going to be ready to go at training camp. Sounds like he's chomping at the bit. He said a lot of the similar things that Kinlaw said. He said, nagging injury for years, knee tendonitis. Uh, Snapped the tendon almost completely, kept it on for, they said it was about 5% attached. So it didn't recoil into the muscle. And so the rehab process was able to be a lot more efficient, and they were able to go in and fix it. And it sounds like it was a nagging, reoccurring thing. So now he sounds like he's a lot better, but obviously we'll see once the pads start popping and all that good stuff. But by all accounts, feels like the offensive line is starting to settle a little bit more, a little bit less questions than we had previously had, at least with Mike. Feels like we're moving in the right direction. Now we just got to see what Brendel looks like, what Banks looks like, and from there we're going to be good. Do you see any concerns, or do you see any changes happening with some of the new offensive staff that's been added? Obviously, it's been kind of an underrated talking point, but Kyle is almost working with essentially a new offensive staff. I think Forster stuck around. The new tight end coach was previously, I think, a quality control coach in the tight end room who got elevated. But other than that, you got a new wide receiver coach, you got a new running back coach. A lot of changes. No Mike McDaniels. Do you think the philosophies and everything is going to stay the same, or do you think you might get a couple new wrinkles with Anthony Lynn potentially adding some stuff?
I think it's the Anthony Lynn stuff that I think people are forgetting. He's going to move them a little bit more to inside zone. And that's why you can't completely write off Trey Sermon at this point. I think that a lot of what was happening with Trey Sermon was he's not exactly the ideal fit for outside zone. As you can see, Elijah Mitchell has a better and easier time getting outside and picking his spots. Trey Sermon was an inside zone guy in Ohio State. And if you go back to the time that Anthony Lynn has had with his time with the Chargers and the Bills, that's primarily what he ran. And remember his experience with Tyrod Taylor and LaShawn McCoy. You think about Trey Lance, he's going to be able to run the ball as well, too. I talked about Aaron Banks being more of a fit for inside zone. So it's not going to be some sort of complete shift to inside zone, but I think you see it a bunch more. With what McDaniel was doing last year was creating angles by showing the pitch, but the pitch is designed to get linebackers flowing too far out of the way because they're trying to beat you to the edge while opening up cutback lanes. What I mean by that is, if you noticed last year, there were times where Jimmy Garoppolo would turn and hand the ball backwards, basically, to Deebo Samuel and have him run that way, right? And then there was times where Jimmy would take the ball and just pitch it straight behind him. And then Elijah Mitchell would go. Linebackers see that pitch, and they automatically think the play is flowing all the way outside. So they start being aggressive to cut off the end part. That leaves these big holes for Elijah Mitchell to just slide right back in. If you notice, many of the runs that Elijah Mitchell had, he had 5 to 10 yards right in front of him. You could drive a Mack truck through some of those holes. It's not necessarily because guys are run blocking and pancaking everyone. It's because linebackers are flowing too far. That was the wrinkle that McDaniel put in last year. This year is going to be more inside zone power a little bit more because their linebackers are, their linebackers, the offensive line is going to have to blow people off the ball, but I think they're suited to do that. Aaron Banks can do that. I think that you can't necessarily write off Trey Sermon. And then on top of that, you draft TDP, who fits that perfectly as well, too. So I do think that we see that wrinkle. And then as far as the wide receiver coach, I believe it's Leonard Hankerson, has experience with Kyle Shanahan in Atlanta.
Former player of Kyle's.
Former player of Kyle. So I think he's going to be able to teach guys what Kyle wants to do. Deebo doesn't need that. Maybe Aiyuk might need it a little bit. I don't think he does. I think he's worked his way through all of that. That's done. Maybe the newer guys are going to have to get acclimated to the way that Kyle wants things done, how he wants them to practice. So, I wouldn't really foresee too many things. Again, the offensive coordinator is and always will be Kyle, but I do think the inside zone is going to be a little bit more prominent this year in the scheme.
Absolutely. I agree with that as well, especially get a little bit of Aaron Banks in there, bigger bodied guy who could hopefully dig some of these defensive tackles out. It definitely felt like the 49ers were having to do a lot with their run game last year and be really ultra creative, but I think there is a path forward. Maybe they just simplify it a little bit. Just start being able to run a little bit more inside zone, like you mentioned, mid zone, things like that, where they don't have to get so intricate to reach the edge and kind of get all these linebackers and safeties flowing one direction so they can actually reach the edge. Because again, the explosiveness that was missed from Mostert last year, you had to insert Deebo into that mix, but then you lose a wide receiver as a result. So it's going to be really interesting to see. Speaking of Deebo, does he get paid by
Uh-oh.
training camp?
Uh-huh. You hope so, but I'm still not too worried about it. I mean, if he's there and he's working off on the side, then I don't see why anybody would worry. It's just a matter of time at this point. I mean, that has been completely out of my mind at this point. I don't need the trainer to tell me, yeah, we're gonna get paid. Like, look, man, I don't really care about that. He's gonna be fine. He'll get paid. And if the Jimmy domino falls quicker than we expect, like let's say in the next few days, then I would expect the Debo talks to ramp up very fast. But in the end, it'll get done, and they will protect Debo and say, listen, come to camp. We're not going to work you or anything like that just so you don't get injured. Just work off on the side, and we will continue to negotiate in good faith. I think this thing gets done. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, it was funny too because the same trainer posted almost the identical Fred Warner. He said the same exact thing, but with Fred Warner today,
Mhm.
and then he ended it with "F the media."
Oh, wow. Well, I mean, that's the thing is, right? Like, Debo pulls up to San Francisco, boom, everybody's all over it, right? Like he's in the airport, things like that. You have to know the situation. You have to know the situation at this point. So yeah, it's important
Yeah,
that read the room.
the state of social media reporting is what it is, and these guys understand what any inkling, we get it too. There's the opposite side. There's sub posting. There's trolling. So sometimes you don't have the proper context. It's hard to read between the lines. Sometimes you're like, look, this is what it is. This is what this player just posted. So yeah, it's funny though. Coach says, "What's popping? Big time. What's
Yeah, you
good,
big, man. You about to be
coach?"
signing. You about to be signing autographs next week. Watch when we get to
Oh,
camp. Everybody be
God.
like, "Are you Brad Graham of the SF Niners, man? Oh
No,
my god,
they're gonna see Jason, who's towering in at like 6'7", and
go over there."
they're gonna be like, Jason, come get a picture with me.
No,
We
man,
got
you're just no. You're gonna run up on sourdough Sam. Dad,
I gotta say what up to dad. I gotta say, Dad,
Dad.
Dad. Jerome says, watch Jimmy come back from surgery, throwing the football like Henry Rowengartner. I'm
Rowan
not gonna be
Gardner.
honest. I don't know this reference. Do you know this reference?
What? Yes, I do. Rookie of the year, man. The kid, remember, he hurts his shoulder. He becomes a pitcher for the Cubs. He throws 100 miles an hour after.
There we go. I needed the name of the movie. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't watched that movie too many times, so that's probably why. But
That's
he's
all right.
saying throwing that ball like bullets, 100 yards. That's the one where he's like super old, right? And he comes back into the league, like,
No, no,
or am
no.
I
He's the
tripping?
kid. Yeah, he's the kid. He's not good at baseball. He falls, he breaks his arm. He goes to the Cubs game. They hit a home run, and he goes to throw it back. He throws it from the stands into the catcher's mitt, like on a rope. And then he pitches for the Cubs, and they win the World Series. Rosenbagger,
Okay, okay.
Gardenhoser.
Thank you for clarifying the
Yeah, you know I
reference.
got you. You know I got you with movie references.
That's why Jason's a man. If ever I got any kind of movie questions or anything, he's gonna have the answer like that. He's gonna tell you. Do you know when this movie was made or when it was released?
Yes, 1994.
No way. Hold
I think
on.
it's 93. 93, 94. 93, I'm gonna say. I'm
Hey,
gonna go with 93.
okay. I want to check. I know you're on point. So, Rookie of the Year is 1993. Really
1993.
close. Really
Yeah,
close. That you're right
there
on
you go.
point though. Good stuff, man. This dude knows his movie
93.
trivia. I swear, we need the episode where all you do is literally just answer questions about movie
Dude,
trivia.
and you know what was cool about that
Fire.
movie is they go through the league. Barry Bonds is in it for a scene. Bobby Bonilla is in it for a scene. He's like striking them out. Like Pedro Guerrero of the Dodgers, like that. Like I'm a big baseball guy though, so like it is what it is.
I feel it. So obviously you're going to be out here next Wednesday, correct? That's the
Tues Tuesday
Tuesday.
night Tuesday night, I get there, I think it's about 10 PM, so that's enough time for me to just go, get rested. Yard House is closed, so I can't go to that, right away, so I gotta wait another day. But yeah, up early and Adam, headed to, practice. We'll be there the first 5, I'll be there the first 5 practices. Brad's probably gonna be there every day, so.
That's crazy. We're finally here. Like, and you're gonna be like Tuesday's gonna be like that. Like, it's gonna be a blink of an eye, and we might have a state of the franchise episode coming in live, person to person. So that's gonna be fun. Um, Anything else that you're looking forward to next week with training camp coming up? Any of the things that you wanted to discuss as we get prepared to get you out to Cali?
Yeah, just, I've got, like, another, like, 10 minutes. The strong safety position, and it's become this complete hot button thing where it's met with such pushback whenever you say you're concerned. It's funny, Brad. We say, I'm concerned about Brendel, I'm concerned about Aaron Banks because I haven't seen them play. And people will say, well, that's valid. I say, or anybody else says, I'm concerned about Talanoa Hufanga because he hasn't played. Oh my God, you're hating, man. Let the kid develop. When did it become I'm just concerned because he hasn't played? You aren't yelling at me about Aaron Banks. You aren't yelling at me about Jake Brendel or any other player who hasn't played much. It's concerns. And the concerns are athleticism, and he's going to have to play with more instinct. He's going to have to understand how they're going to attack him. They can't just hide him in single high all the time because that'll end up getting attacked. Can he play further from the line of scrimmage? Can he know what offenses are trying to do? All that stuff can happen with reps. A lot of guys are athletic. A lot of guys can run fast, but they can't cover a bed. There's a lot of guys who don't have athleticism, but they're instinctual and they can play. So there's hope for that. It's just I'm not ready to just sit here and say Hufanga's that's it. That's it. Hufanga's going to take it and run, and he's going to be this, and that. Why can't I say that I have concerns while hoping he develops in the same way that I say that about other people? Because it's met with such harsh pushback to the point of like, oh my God, you're hating, you're pushing some agenda. Like, come on, man. Like we're talking ball. And a lot of the things that I saw on tape with Hufanga were in coverage. It wasn't, look, we get it. When he's at the line and he's playing with aggression, that's where he's best. But that's not where he can play. He can't just live there the entire time. He's going to have to play up top. Otherwise, things are going to get a little hairy. So, again, it's going to help. Jimmy Ward's going to help him clean up a bunch of stuff on the back end because that's what he'll do. But my concerns just come in. Hey, have you learned that, you can't get hit with a double move by Christian Kirk? Have you learned that you can't float to the pylon and allow Adam Thielen to sit down in the end zone and just catch a pass from Kirk Cousins wide open? Those are the type of things you've got to be able to do consistently, not just the 30 snaps that you're going to be playing over a few games. He's the starter. So that's all I'm concerned with. I'm not saying he
Right.
can't. I'm just saying, why is it that when I say I'm concerned, it's met with I'm hating? I don't understand that part.
I don't think you're hating.
I don't think so either. I'm just saying that I've heard that. You're pushing an
Oh,
agenda. You're hating on the player. Dude, it's because, yes, I enjoy what Jaquaski Tarr brought to this team. It was stability at certain points, but I need at least that baseline of what Tart has. And if Hufanga can pass that, excellent. But you need that baseline because that was there. Like, it was there for the entire time that they were together, Tart and Ward.
a absolutely. Justin saying saw something from CBS saying, 49ers were a top 5 destination for Jesse Bates. Do you think that's a possibility? I'm not sure. I don't because he'd wanna get paid, right? That's
He's
part of the
24, right? He's 24 years
Is he
old, 25.
24?
Yeah, hold on. I might got it twisted. Hold on. Let me
I
look.
don't know. For whatever reason in my head, I thought he was older, but I could be completely wrong. I'm not gonna pretend like I follow
He's 25.
the Bengals ultra well.
He's
Wow. For whatever
25.
reason, I thought he was up there a little bit
He's
more.
25. So you're not
So
getting him for a bag of peanuts. You'd have to give up
no.
some harsh draft
And
capital
then
and
you
you
gotta
got to
pay
pay
him.
him. You got to pay
Yes.
him. Yeah,
So
25 years
it's a
old.
double-edged sword. It's like it's kinda like, yeah, I think on paper, it sounds very promising, but, you have to give up compensation to get him, and then once he's in the building, the reason why he potentially could be available for trade is because the Bengals aren't paying him. You would have to do the same, and I would imagine he'd probably want, what, top 10, top 8, top 5 money potentially. So Maybe the 49ers could do that if Jimmy Garoppolo's money comes off the books eventually, which we anticipate it would. But I think the biggest thing is just compensation. Like, what are you giving up? What player or what potential draft pick is going in return to make the deal worth it? I don't know. I don't know who that would be.
I think that the reason that he's on this list is because the perception around the league that the 49ers have a hole of strong safety. Now, do they? We don't know that yet. We don't know that yet. One thing's for sure is this team is very intent on giving Talanoa Hufanga every single opportunity to succeed and win this job. One more thing that I could say positively about Hufanga that I think is going to help. D'Amico Ryans gradually got better, and he put on a masterclass in the Packers game. He's going to know where to put him. Think about this. D'Amico Ryans walked into Cincinnati to face Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, and T. Higgins, and his starting cornerbacks were Ambry Thomas and Josh Norman was out there on certain plays. Like, dude, they put on a masterclass of cover two, shading, keeping those guys out of harm's way. So if Hufanga isn't exactly where they want him to be, where they feel good that leaving him out there, D'Amico Ryans isn't going to put him out there with just to get burned and burned and burned. So again, everything is in Hufanga's favor. Again, I want the kid to succeed. He's got everything that he needs. Jimmy Ward is going to be there. The team likes him. D'Amico Ryans is a baller, and he will put him in good spots. So again, it's all out there for him. I just don't understand. And, I see some people saying names about who it is. I'm not talking about one particular person. This is just a hot button issue because I see so many people, I know it, Hufanga breakout season. Well, in the same way that I tell you to slow your roll on what you think about Lance because we need to see it, I'm going to tell you to slow your roll on Hufanga as well, man. I think you can project and say all those things, but people are like, I'm certain. You can't be certain. You can project. That's all. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
And I'm definitely one of those people projecting that Hufanga is going to have a breakout, but I also do believe there's a hole there, right? So it makes it feel like it's a natural fit, right? Because Kwaski isn't there. And is George Odom that guy? I don't know yet. So unless someone else comes into the building, it does feel like, right? I think you could agree that Talanoa is going to get the first crack at it. He's going to have the opportunity. Now, what you're saying is like, well, let's see how the progression has occurred. We've heard from minicamp, but let's see. Let's wait until we get into camp. Let's wait until we get into some real live situations with real bullets flying around for us to make a definitive thought process either way, right? It's pretty much what we're getting to.
That's it.
And
That's it. Just
absolutely fair.
We have to be objective with everybody, right? We can be excited about players, and I'm not trying to squash anybody's excitement at all, right? Like the same way that I tell you, hey, listen, let's see a play out with Lance. Be excited though. Be excited. Like I'm not trying to tell you not to be excited, and when he plays well, it'll be celebrated. But we will objectively look at everything the same way and say, listen, this is where he messed up. This is where he needs to improve. That's all. Like we're fans, we are, but I want to analyze objectively. And I would like to think that you guys come to us, not just because I yell like a madman sometimes, but because we objectively look at things and we're able to look at it with taking our fan hat off and saying, this person's playing well, this person's not playing well, and it's never anything personal. At the end of the day, I want this team to win. And that's all that matters. I want everyone to succeed, and I want this team to win. But at the same time, I'm trying to get somewhere with my career. Like I'm trying to move up somewhere, and I can't do that if everything that the 49ers does or everything that a player does is perfect. And I'm not going to get anywhere doing that.
Yeah, and I think it's really easy to see, like you turn on the tape with Talanoa last year, he really looked good in certain areas, and there were definitely areas where it looked like he needed to improve or potentially was a step late or things like that. So just like all these players, right, especially rookies, the thought process is they will take a step forward. So I think that's at least where I'm coming from in regards to why I think he's going to have a breakout season, because I think he will get better. I still think he's going to have to learn from certain things. There's still going to be, trials that he's going to have to work through. And again, he's not the fastest guy in the world, and we understand that. So it's going to be like, how do they use him in coverage? Does he play more in the box? Do they keep Jimmy Ward in single high situations? Because we did see Talanoa in single high situations last year, right? So they felt comfortable doing that with him as a rookie. We'll see how they feel year two. But it is going to be one of the things that we look for. We just want to see how he comes out and performs. And it could go either way. Do you have any other potential breakout guys that you're looking at for maybe camp to step up and show out?
All right.
Trey
Well,
Sermon, reclamation?
no, no, no. I'm gonna say it here on the show, and you guys can cut it and just go ahead and go crazy on me if it doesn't come to fruition. But prediction, hot take, big prediction. We're going for it. I'm gonna take my flag and I'm putting it right in the sand. Brandon Aiyuk leads his team in every receiving category, catches, yards, touchdowns this year. Let me explain. Obviously, the rapport with him and Lance are there, but I think that their skill sets fit each other. If you're talking about deep targets, it's Brandon Aiyuk. Now, when you pair that with the rapport, I put something out today in terms of, and I'll go through it real quick if I can find it, about how often the 49ers actually threw the ball down the field per, when you work with the NFL communications, they give you these neat stats that you can go through. And here, I'll go through it real fast. Deep throw ranks for the 49ers in 2021. Deep left, 28 throws down there, 28th in the league. 10.89 average gain, which is 21st in the league. 39.29% completion, which is 20th in the league. That's just deep left, okay? Those are towards the bottom of the league, okay? Deep middle, 27 plays, which is 5th in the league, surprisingly. 13.48 average gain, which is 19th, and 51.85%, which is 13th in the league. And then deep right, 30 plays, 28th in the league, 14.33 average gain, which was 2nd in the league, and 43.33% completion, which was 5th in the league. Now, obviously, we get it. Jimmy is not suited to throw the ball down the field. We get that. There is a world, and I do foresee this happening, where the 49ers actually throw the ball less this year coming up with Trey Lance than they did with Jimmy Garoppolo. Mm-hmm. But what I do see increasing are these deep throws. There's no way that this team is going to go through an entire season, 17 games, and only throw the ball 28 times deep left or 25 times deep right. No way. Not going to happen. So who suits that more? Right now, it's Brandon Aiyuk. So when you pair that rapport with the bigger plays, I think it's going to be Brandon Aiyuk. If you watch the 2.5 games that Trey was there, him and Aiyuk are on the same page. They would have had one of the better touchdown throws in that Houston game if his arm isn't held when he goes up. Right, exactly. Yeah. You know exactly what play I'm talking about. Then you have the play in that game where Aiyuk catches it and he runs down the field. He's got a big gain. You have the play in the Arizona game where it's a keyhole throw from Trey Lance where he turns and throws that thing, and it's like on a rope with a defender draped on him, and Aiyuk goes out and grabs it. The rapport is there. It's all ready to go. Aiyuk, towards the end of the season, was completely breaking out. He's out of the doghouse. Give me Brandon Aiyuk leading the team in every single receiving category, catches, yards, and touchdowns. If I'm wrong, flame me. But you know what? I'm excited, and I think this is going to be the year that everybody thought that Brandon Aiyuk was going to have coming off of his rookie year.
I think you're on point. That hot take is, I think, going to come to fruition this year. I think another example, too, from that Houston game that stood out to me was, I think there was a rollout. Trey Lance was rolling out to his left as a little play action boot. And you have your typical out and up towards the sideline, deep to intermediate, and then you always had, Aiyuk is running those deep clear out routes, right? Like we're just trying to pull the safety out, and Aiyuk gave up on the route because I think he was about 25 yards downfield. He makes his cut, and you totally see him just take his foot off the gas. But Trey threw it to him. And it was like, he was like, oh, the ball's coming to me. Like, because we've seen it on tape almost every game. Aiyuk is running open all over the place, deep down the field. And the ball is rarely thrown to him. So it really felt like one of those opportunities where the play wasn't designed to go to him. It was designed to, run his deep route. And he's just like, oh, the ball's not going to be coming to me. But it came to him because it was Trey Lance who was throwing the football. And Trey Lance has that type of ability and confidence still in his arm talent that he's like, well, there's Aiyuk. I'm going to throw it to him. And I don't think Aiyuk was ready for it. But that's just, I don't think that's a knock on Aiyuk either. I think that was week 17. And I think he got into that groove of like, the ball's probably not going to come to me. I'm going to whip this dude on this route and I'm going to get open. But based on the play concept and how it was playing out, this ball's this ball's definitely not coming to me. But he's like, oh, it's Trey Lance, and Trey Lance just darted it in there. And I think that was, one of the obviously wasn't a good play. He didn't catch it or anything like that. But I think that's where one of the plays where those two, again, they've been grinding all off season together, where you'll see those plays being made. Like Aiyuk might not even be the primary, but if the primary's covered and you have Aiyuk running down the field, it feels like Trey's going to have that sixth sense to be like, oh, I'm going to throw it to Aiyuk. I'm going to throw it to my boy. I know he's going to catch it. I know he's going to have my back go up 50-50 it and go get it because he's got that dog in him. And I think that kind of connection will be apparent. And I think that's a great prediction. I think Aiyuk could absolutely do that.
One more thing too is I see a lot of people will like, oh my God, this guy is running wide open and Jimmy didn't throw it to him, but the first read is open. If your first read is open, there's no need to get to the second one. So I think that that's a little bit overblown sometimes when it comes to Jimmy, right? Like we want to say this and that about him, but if the primary read is the hook route right here, and then there's a clear route up top. Yeah, that clear route might be like flying down the field, but the primary route, if it's open, you don't say he's open, I don't want to get that. And then you look up, like, that's not how that works, right? So, like, again, sometimes when people post things like clips and they're like, well, look at this guy flying down the field. It's like, dude, what else do you want Jimmy to do? It was the first read. You got to bang that on him and throw it to him. That's why it was designed that way.
And the window's about that big and he's trying to fit it in there.
Yeah, you got to get it out. So, yeah, again, like, there's so much, like, again, I think this year what I want to preach is stop posting individual plays without the nuance of how you got to that play, what's going on in the play, how you're supposed to read things. If you don't know, that's fine, because that's why I don't post those things sometimes. Because sometimes I'll look at it and I'll say, okay, this is 3-man levels. This is what this is. I can see that. Sometimes I look at it and I'm like, I'll send it around to the people who I think know better. What am I looking at here? And there's nothing wrong with saying you don't know. But the posting plays out of context thing and just saying, oh my God, look at this guy running down the field or whatever. Well, is he the read? Is he the third read? We don't know those things, so it's hard to say those things. So I want to implore people with Trey Lance, you might see some stuff like that on film, but try to think to yourself, maybe this isn't the throw that he was supposed to make or what was designed here. Plus, Kyle Shanahan is known for this. Tells Jimmy Garoppolo, when we start this, he's going to be wide open. You make sure you throw it to him or whatever. And sometimes Jimmy, for better or worse, would just say, hey, coach told me, and he just throws it. And you know what? It might be incomplete. It might be caught. That's the type of stuff that I think is kind of lost in this discussion. That's it.
I mean, I agree with you 100%. I'm not a coverage person. Like I don't know routes ultra well. Like I can see and identify, I think, at a baseline level. But when you start getting into who's the primary, secondary, who's the third read, like what's the option on this play, when you start to dive into that, as you know, there's so many intricacies. It's based on what's the defense showing you pre-snap, what's the defense showing you post-snap, and then what they're showing you, what triggers a particular route. Like one route or one concept could have like 4 triggers on it based on what the defense shows you. And that's where the quarterback and wide receiver have to be on the same page with what they're seeing, because if they're not on the same page with how they're reading the defense, one's going to run the wrong route or throw to the wrong spot or be prepared to throw it, and the guy's not there. So coverages are like the coverage game, the route game. It is complex. Like it's very complex. I feel at home in the trenches because I know what's expected. With the route concepts and the coverage schemes, all the disguise and rolling of coverages, it's complicated. So I tip my cap to anyone who can call those things out and identify them, because I'll be honest, I'll ask Rich. I'm like, Rich, like I was breaking down that last play of the NFC Championship game. I can break it down from the responsibility up front, but I don't know who the primary is. Is it Kittle? Is it this guy out here? I don't know the timing.
He had to throw it on Kittle. Sorry.
Right. That was my assumption, but I didn't post it because I don't know. So I'm like, I see him looking at Kittle. Kittle looks like the primary. He looks open. It looks like you could bang it right on him.
If he gets it out right away, that's a 7-yard gain. And then it's 4th and 3. It's not 4th and 10, or it's not an interception. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm
right. And he hesitated, right? He didn't throw, and then that's when the the pressure was
Right.
felt.
And by the time he didn't throw it, the safeties collapsed on it. So if you do throw it, it gets knocked down. That's it.
Right.
You know.
Exactly. So
So
there's
yeah,
a lot of
that's
nuance.
right. That's the beauty of football, I think. And that's why I am in love with this game so much. There is no way you'll learn everything. This game, if you really want to deep dive and you really want to learn all these things, you will be at it learning until the day you unfortunately pass away. That is how much is in this game, how much things change, how many people change things going along. That's what I find so beautiful about this game is there'll be stuff that's thrown out in one season. Okay, the league is figuring that out. Here's how they change it. And every year there's something new to learn. So yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. Um, So we're going to see a lot of that nuance coming up in training camp. Those are the things that we're going to be talking about, trying to identify and get to the bottom of. Robert Davis says not enough being said about the beard game on this pod. On point. Shout out to all our bearded brothers. We appreciate you guys.
Yep.
It takes a little extra to be this gravy sometimes. So appreciate you guys. Someone had asked earlier, what time is the interview with Brunskill tomorrow? Brunskill will be on at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So
Specifically at 5 Pacific.
specifically, so that's when we're gonna get Brunny on, and you guys know I'm probably one of the biggest Brunny fans out there. So appreciate everyone tapping in. Any last words, Jason, before we hop off, and we'll see you in training camp next week.
Oh man, next Wednesday I'll be able to hug you. We'll be able to go to camp, and we can do our show right out like straight out of training camp. Like we can literally leave camp, head to the spot, go ahead and just go ahead and stream and and get this content to everybody, man. It's an exciting time. If I sound like I'm super excited, it's probably because I drank a Red Bull before I got on, but it's also because we have reached the finish line. Like we are here. This is it.
Yes,
The longest
that's
off
the biggest
season
part.
in the history of off seasons is over. It's over.
Yeah.
It's done finally. Thank goodness. And we're going to be talking real football.
Someone said the 2020 offseason was long. I think that was just a weird year for everyone. And it was, but this year it was no first round pick. We're
Right.
not breaking down, we're not scouting first rounders.
No,
It
look,
was a whole weird
I think
situation.
I think real quick to paraphrase what happened last year was the entire 49er fan base was fighting the national media
Yes.
because none of us believed the Mac Jones stuff that was being force fed to us.
Right.
Now, there's a clear division in the people who want Jimmy Garoppolo to be here and the clear division of people who don't think that Trey Lance is ready. And that discussion with the national media about, well, Trey, we were hearing about arm fatigue and this and that. I felt that was much more exhausting than all of us calling BS on the Mac Jones stuff because none of us believed it. So I think it's this year that feels like the longer one because there's a crack in the 49er fan base as opposed to last year, the 49er fan base being galvanized by the new quarterback, but fighting off the Mac Jones at 3 bullshit narrative.
Yeah. So it's been a wild ride. And hey, it's still going. But we got a 1 week left, and then we can kind of put all that stuff to the side, get back to football, which is what we all really want. So appreciate everyone for tapping in. Make sure you're subbing to both channels, both Jason Aponte and the SF Niners. We appreciate you guys. As always, got the best listeners and watchers on these YouTube airwaves. So we appreciate you guys. But that's it for us. We're out of here, and we'll be coming to you guys next week from training camp. Till then,